Okay, moving cannonball. All right.
Used to be the traveling globe.
It's technically a globe shape, but yeah.
Thank you, Tom.
Did you give it a name?
It was originally the traveling globe,
The traveling globe.
but seeing as we couldn't use the globe, the traveling black globe.
Traveling black globe. Post-apocalyptic.
Yeah.
Traveling
Yeah.
globe. All
So
right.
after the world was like just I don't know, put in a toaster.
It's
For
the
way too
traveling
long.
globe
It's a
of the
globe
year
of a
33,000.
All right. Go ahead, guys.
All right. So have you guys ever seen Star Wars the sequel trilogy? Yeah.
Yes.
So you guys know of that lovely white little ball known as BB-8, right?
Of course.
Well, essentially, this is him before he had a head. Pretty sweet, right? So we can demonstrate here. We can do a little demonstration on the table, and if we need more space, we can use the gun. So Josh will turn on the transmitter here, the control plier.
We use this accelerometer tilt to control the movement. So we'll put it down because I don't want it to fall off the table.
Okay.
That'd be good. And it's kind of creepy. It just kind of rolls up. Good. Tilt it one way, it'll go one way. Tilt it the other, it'll go the other. Yeah. And so we'll take it apart now and show you how we're.
Keep on tilting. You guys are bored of the tilt. We've never seen it before, and it rules.
Goes on.
It can
So
move-
that's backwards. That's
it's on.
forwards.
Yeah.
We did run into a lot of difficulties.
Is there a left and right, by the way?
Um,
Technically, but
So with the left and right, currently with the weight that we needed to deal with the weight of the ball, which we'll get into later, the motors aren't strong enough to actually turn with that amount of weight on the vehicle. So if we wanted to be able to turn, we wouldn't be able to also go forwards and backwards at the same time in the ball unless we replace the motors with higher torque motors. But we can get into more of the specifics after while we explain how we made it. And just probably make it.
so we'll take it apart now
So
and
yeah.
show you the guts.
So as you can see, the first main component is this nice thick black ball. And this was really like, in my opinion, the hardest part of the entire project was finding a ball that worked and assembling it all.
And overcoming all the physics challenges that came with it, dealing with inertia and weight balancing. So here's the actual car's guts, and you can see all the movements. If you go forward, forward, and it shows the green light which matches the display here. Red, purple for left, cyan for right. And when you press the button, it honks the horn. And because we weren't able to use the original globe, there were some troubles, but we did get it working. And we had to solve a lot of issues along the way
Yes.
when creating the actual ball.
Yeah. So I'm going to go over how we made the ball real quick. Essentially, we started with that globe up there. I found that at Valley Village for $10. Quite a steal if you ask me. And I was able to cut it in half using a Dremel, which is essentially just like a handheld saw that vibrates really fast. And we were able to cut it in half, and it was working really well. However, to actually fit all the components inside that ball would not work out. Even this car, which is the second version, a much smaller car than our original one, that will still not fit inside that smaller globe. So I had to go about making a second globe from 1,000 years later when the world is destroyed. And I started off with one of those nice squishy Walmart balls, slightly bigger than the smaller ones, but it was working out. And then I paper mache'd the crap out of it, like 5 layers of newspaper, and over a liter of glue later. I had a nice, bumpy, roundish ball. After that, I put 2 layers of canvas paper mache. So essentially, I went to Walmart and I took 4 canvases from them, and I cut it up and I threw it around this globe, and it really made the structure much harder. So we let it dry overnight again, and then after that, I used some wood putty to apply to the outside of this to smooth it out. And once that was on, I realized that we're going to have some trouble with the weight, which we will get into later. But I sanded down a fair amount of it, and it turned out pretty smooth, way smoother than it was with the paper mache. And for the final coat, while it was still closed in this formation, I sprayed some Flex Seal, an entire bottle of Flex Seal around the outside of this thing. Okay? And it really just proves the strength of Flex Seal, because before this, it was like wobbly. Now it's like,
Yeah.
it's a really strong ball.
The power of Flex Seal.
The power of Flex Seal, ladies and gentlemen. Okay?
We sawed this ball in half.
Yeah. So then after that, to prove the power of Flex Seal, I sawed this ball in half. You know, that's a lot of damage here.
Did you
Okay?
have to coat the saw with Flex Seal first?
Yes, exactly. So then I cut the ball in half, as I said, and sprayed the inside with Flex Seal and around the edges here. The edges actually are holding together extremely well. Originally they were all spread out. I put some tape around it. There's still a couple pieces of tape holding it together, but the rest of it is just all Flex Seal, proving the true strength of Flex Seal. And if we wanted, we could even throw this in water and it would still work.
It's watertight.
Yeah, so
As far as the actual vehicle is concerned, even when we had the bigger one, the original prototype square model was A, too big, and B, when it got moving, pretty much everything on here would slide off and destroy the vehicle. So we designed this super sturdy twin deck design. The Arduino screws right in, and the breadboard's brackets hold it in place so nothing moves. The batteries, like this thing is, while we were testing it, before we figured out the solution to the flipping, this thing flipped over at least 37 times, and nothing ever got damaged.
it's really sturdy.
And you guys designed the laser cut files.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everything was custom made.
Mhm.
Custom
And as you
built.
can see on the bottom here, to attach these motors, since we didn't have the capabilities of just screwing in like the other ones, we had to make our own sort of technology where we had these C-clamps here to attach them to, as well as underneath. You can't see it because of this giant weight, but there's also some these small pieces of wood that are on the side of the motors that we could tape the motors to, and they're held in by these supports right here.
And as far as the weight's concerned, that was our other biggest problem. As soon as everything was working, everything like control was fine, beep was fine,
Vehicle
it was,
could move.
the ball was finished, and we put it in, and every single time it drove forward, whoop, it would go up and flip over, upside down. So we're like, how do we fix this? Do we need more weight? So we tried weights on top,
Like
but
17 different
nothing,
placements,
like different
17
configurations, but
different
nothing
weights.
worked. And then I was like, wait a minute, we just need to lower the center of gravity. So I put the weight underneath, and boom, it worked just like that.
A lot of physics going on there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
we had a lot of
We were
problems.
brainstorming, and then Josh was like, well, just how about we lower the center of gravity? And it worked out.
And now
really
it
well.
doesn't flip, and
Yeah.
it works.
And everything's attached properly. And now, as you guys saw, it fits in the globe. As on the ground here, you can see that the weight is actually slightly too tall for the wheels to touch the ground. But in the globe, due to the curvature of the globe, it actually fits just perfectly in it. And if you're only using half of the ball, it will drive out, but we're not
That's
going to
kind
do
of
that.
neat what you're doing there. That's
Yeah, but that's essentially how the mechanism works there, where it drives forward, and as it drives forward, just keep holding it forward, Josh, or foot backwards. Just hold backwards.
Yeah. And we were also, we
Same-
noticed
so-
this
yeah.
when we were debugging. Kai was like, it's not going to work because it's not driving up. But I was like, you're forgetting, with the weight of the top half, when it's just a half sphere, it always wants to stay to its bottom. But when it has both halves, the bottom is whatever's the bottom. So that then it ended
So
up
as it
actually
drives
working.
forward, it will just demonstrate without it closed.
It's going to fall. But yeah.
I guess not. Whatever. Essentially, it drives forward, and then it's able to drive like that. We're not going to let it go too far, but yeah.
Now, if we had better resources, a smoother globe, I do believe that it would have worked really well
Yes.
with more time. But for what we had, pretty awesome.
Yeah,
That's it.
and I can seal it together, and we can test it out again if anyone wants to try.
Yeah, we'll
Control it.
play with it at different moments. But yeah, wow.
Power Flex Seal, this product will be impressive.
Sponsored by Flexer.
Sponsored by Phil Swift himself.